Salvete discipuli. This is to help you with Ecce Romani, Volume 1, in your activity book, Activity 15D on page 94. Identify noun lookalikes. How do you identify noun lookalikes? Noun lookalikes are nouns that can look like other nouns or other forms of nouns. The steps are simple. There are three. The first thing you have to know is, what is the dictionary form? Obviously, you're going to look in the dictionary for the dictionary form. We'll do that first. You also have to know what declension the noun belongs to. Once you know the dictionary form, you can figure out the declension. We'll look at that second. Once you know the dictionary form and the declension, then you have to ask, well, where can I find the case and number possibilities? All the different possible cases and numbers that noun could be. We'll do that third. You can see on the bottom, Activity 15D, the first three questions. Bacula, what's its declension? What is its gender? What are the possible cases that it could be? And what's its number? Let's start by figuring out the dictionary form. In the back of your book, if you look up Bacula, you'll find it under baculum. Hopefully you found it by now. Just in case you didn't, it's right here. It first appears in chapter 10, and then it shows up again in chapter 15. This highlighted part is what we call the dictionary form. In this activity, you're also going to need to look up the word cisia, which happens to be on the same page. Can you find it? That's right, it's under cisium, right here. It showed up first in chapter 14, and it reappears in chapter 15 as a word to learn. It means a light two-wheeled carriage. So now we have everything we need to start answering question 1 and question 3 for Bacula and cisia. You'll notice in the dictionary form, there's 5 pieces of information given. The first one is the nominative singular form of the word, baculum and cisium. The second piece is the genitive singular ending, I, with a macron over it. I'll put that in red. That's what tells you the declension. Next, you're going to get the gender. I'll put that in a very nice light green. The gender in both of these words is neuter. It could say M for masculine or F for feminine. Now you can answer the gender for each of these words. Neuter. Circle it in your workbook now. So what is I, cisium, cizii, and baculum, baculi, that letter I with the macron, how does that tell us the declension? Well, in the case of baculum and cisium, this I tells us its second declension. We learned AE is first declension, I is for second, IS is for third. You should memorize that if you haven't already. You could find it in your textbook in multiple chapters where it's mentioned, but at this point in chapter 15, you should really know this by heart. So once again, AE in the dictionary form is first declension, I is second declension, and IS is third. Write those down in your notes if you can't find them in your notes, and commit them to memory. So now we know the declension for both cisium and baculum is second. We also know the gender is neuter. So the next question is, where do I find the possible cases and the number? The answer to that is in your textbook. In the back of your textbook, you have helpful charts so you don't have to commit everything to memory. This chart is found on page 267. It has all the first declension endings here. It has all the second declension endings here. And if you happen to have your book open, you'll see it also has the third, fourth, and fifth declension endings. At this point, you just need to know the first, second, and third. For these two words, you only need to know the second, because cisium, cizii, baculum, baculi both have that E sound, which we spell I with a macron, which indicates second declension. You'll find baculum is in fact the paradigm word here, baculum, baculi, similar to cisium, cizii. So now you go through the paradigm and find Bacula. If you do that, you'll find Bacula appears 3 times. Can you find it? That's right, Bacula, which is nominative plural, Bacula, which is accusative plural, and Bacula, which is vocative plural. So you have 3 possible cases: nominative, accusative, and vocative, and 1 possible number, plural. So now you have your complete answers for Bacula and cisia. They're both second declension, neuter, nominative, accusative, vocative, and plural. This also corresponds to the neuter rule. For all neuter nouns, the nominative and accusative are always the same, and the nominative and accusative plural end in a short A. It would be worth your time to commit that rule to memory if you haven't yet. Likewise, you would find this activity goes much more quickly if you didn't have to look up the dictionary form because it's in your head. Cisium, cizii, neuter, light 2-wheeled chariot. Then you don't have to look it up. Baculum, baculi, neuter, rod, stick. Similarly, you don't have to look up the second declension if you know the endings are e, o, a, or is, a, is, or using whatever chant you learned. If you have to, it's no shame to look it up. It just takes more time and it makes it more onerous. That's perhaps a word you've learned in this chapter. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Good luck on the rest of the exercise. Bonum fortunam.